Are we live?
There we go.
And we're live.
We're live.
We're live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Billy Musio and Bradley Stalder here for the Fantasy Football Fanalysts. We're joined tonight by Luke. Is it Sawhook?
Yep. Saw on a hook.
Saw on a hook. So we're joined here tonight by Luke Sawhook of 3CoSports podcast. Luke also does social media work for Dynasty Nerds, Predict Strike, and writes for Fantasy Pros. The Fanalists have worked with Alex and Angel of 3CoSports over the past year and are excited for 3Co to start their own podcast this month. So welcome to the show, Luke. And how's your night going?
I'm doing good, man. I just got done. I went back. I went to Walmart and got snacks for my dorm room. It was an exciting journey. I had to ride a bus there and back because I don't have a car on campus. So yeah, it was an adventure. I got a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch here. That guarantees you a Pikachu Pokemon card that I will now get up and get to show you.
This is outstanding content, Billy.
I see the Pikachu on his wall.
Oh yeah. That's my background for box breaks. I do.
Wait, real quick, Bradley. Over under on Pikachu's in his room 7.
I'll take the under, but it's close.
Yeah. This comes in the box. If you ever get a Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
because you have two on video right now. So is it under or over 7?
Oh, these are the only 2 in the room.
Well, there we go, Billy.
I'll say 3 right now because it's on the box right here.
Chance for redemption on that Noah Fant, Robert Tonyan side bet that we were talking about earlier. But
anyway, yeah, that's my that poster is my. I got it at a card shop I went to one time for free. They just had it. It was like, you want that? I was like, sure. And I was gonna put it in my dorm room over there, but I needed I do box breaks for sports cards. I don't know if you guys ever seen that on my Twitter feed. But when I do it, that's like the background. It's better than a blank wall. So it looks like really stupid if you walk in my room and to see it like behind my desk like that because it's aligned really weird, but it looks good on camera, so it works.
Next time you can at me, Luke, because I've got the blank back in my room. So thank you.
What you need to do here, Luke, is you need to go to like NFL.com and you can make custom jerseys for the same price as a regular jersey is. And you can, put your own number on the back and your own name. So you got to get a Pikachu jersey for your favorite team.
That'd be funny. It would. I have a couple signed jerseys right here. I got a Joe Hayden one right there, and that's a Magic one over there. And then that's my Colin Mooney shrine above me. I don't know if you guys have seen that on my Twitter timeline. So I'm not trying to delay this like bullshit content for too long here.
This is great.
Anyway, so I don't know if you guys follow Stevie Smalls or like John Helmkamp or any of those guys on Twitter. They're super cool. But anyway, we started a fantasy football league with We Hate Rob from Twitter. Another really great guy. He started a league for us called like the We Hate Rob Invitational or something. And he decided to make the draft like exceptionally deep for some reason. Like we were on rounds like, I don't even know, like 20 something. And you guys know the player Colin Johnson for the Jags. He was like a decent breakout candidate or sleeper. Yep. And then everyone knows Darnell Mooney. So she accidentally combined Stevie Smalls combined the 2 players' names and drafted a guy, Colin Mooney, who has been out of the NFL for like 5 years. And she thought it was like the guy that she wanted to draft, but it turned out to be Colin Mooney, who's this former NFL player who's actually like the coolest guy ever. So like it turned into like this huge like joke from all of us because like she drafted a guy on accident, and it kind of like turned into like her team mascot. And we found the guy's Twitter handle and we started like tagging him in tweets. And then like he replied to one of them, and I like replied with the GIF of like something like, can I get your autograph? I was like, dude, how much for an autograph? Like, I'll pay you. And he was like, send me your address and I'll see what I can do. And the guy is like literally the coolest dude ever. He sent a bunch of us. Like he sent me up there. He sent me 2, like a pair of signs, game worn gloves, and a picture that says like, Luke, you're the man. Like he's like the coolest dude ever. Like seriously, he's so cool. And he joined our fantasy league, and he said the winner every year, he will send a signed jersey.
That's awesome.
It's sick. Like he's such a cool guy. He played in hold on real quick. I'll end the story. But he went to West Point and then served in the military and then played in the NFL, and now he's a doctor. Like what a guy.
Busy life.
He's a legend.
I feel like I'm a failure at life given that
everyone
career route.
Yeah, everyone is compared to that guy. But yeah, that's my intro, I guess. That was a long one. Jeez.
I love it. No, thank you for sharing. It's great to hear about other stories, like because Billy and I are in a lot of leagues, and like we get the same old hat. players, champ drafting the Julio Joneses of the world, and and
in Dynasty.
In Dynasty, right? So it's the 1 year rentals. I'm sure he'll draft Tom Brady in the startup here, but like
Tom Brady and Drew Brees.
Yeah, Drew Brees hasn't retired yet. Yeah.
Yeah, not that's what I'm saying. Not technically.
He's still on the board. We'll talk about Brees here in a little bit, but it's good to hear about just other leagues and other things that are going on for sure, and a great story. So thanks for sharing that, Luke. That's great.
Yeah, it's funny. Thank you.
Awesome. So hey guys, we had the Super Bowl this past weekend.
It feels so long ago.
Like we had a drunk Tom Brady in between the Super Bowl and now.
Oh my goodness.
His tweet was golden. It was like nothing to see here, just a little bit of avocado tequila, all spelled wrong.
Yeah, all spelled wrong. That video of him hammered, just like being carried by that guy, like all smiles, is like amazing. I love that video.
But there's no judgment either. It's like this guy has won 7 rings. He can do what he wants. He can just have fun. He's not hurting anybody.
And everyone knows that he's like the healthiest man alive too. So like it's whatever.
He saves his 365th day of the year for that championship, Yeah,
definitely. Dude, no, even crazier though is that video of him throwing the Lombardi trophy across to another.
Oh my god! The first thing I thought is if that thing drops, he's so lucky. Like it wasn't the Chiefs here with their brick hands this weekend because that thing would have been 80 feet underwater.
Let's say they did drop it. Would they have scuba divers?
100%.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a college student who would just jump right in.
Dude, I would have. I'm a college student. If Tom Brady dropped the freaking Lombardi in front of me, I would 100% dive into any body of water on the earth to get the Lombardi trophy out.
There's a few things called propellers though that you'd have to be a little bit cautious of.
No. I'll just
reckless abandon. How often do you get to touch a Lombardi trophy?
Yeah, how often do you get to touch a Lombardi?
Yeah, probably the same amount as much you get to touch a running propeller. So.
Well, yikes. Well, and his daughter even was like, "Dad, no, please."
Oh, I saw that. And in the video, if you listen closely, everyone's like screaming for Mike Evans. Like, come over. They're like, "Mike, come here." But who caught it? Was just some random dude. I know it was Gronk's boat.
Yeah, I don't know who caught it.
I don't know. Yeah, but as long as they caught it, I think that.
Yeah, that was the main factor. He caught it.
He caught it.
So yeah, that was amazing. Tom Brady. But he didn't play like the MVP. It wasn't like he threw for 400 yards and had 8 passing. He threw a little over 200. He had 3 passing touchdowns. He was efficient, didn't make mistakes. But that's his 7th ring. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about, is he the GOAT of all sports? And I think that's a worthy conversation. And only a couple names come to mind as contenders. So, I mean, the obvious Jordan, there's been Wayne Gretzky thrown around. You have to think of the greatest baseball player of all time, and that is Babe Ruth, I think, still.
Yeah.
But like Tom Brady is the greatest football player of all time, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I mean, even if you just look at his conversion rate to getting Super Bowls, I mean, he's been in 10 Super Bowls. Like that in itself is absolutely insane, and he won 7 of them. Like that conversion rate is ridiculous. I mean, Jordan went 6 of 6, but like that's insane too. But I think the argument is hard for other sports because it's comparing apples to oranges for the most part. Like every sport's different. I feel like, I'm not even really a big NHL guy like at all, but I know that Wayne Gretzky is like extremely dominant as far as the greatest of all time conversation goes. And then Babe Ruth is weird because baseball is a little different as far as like the game doesn't like change that much like basketball with like Steph Curry and like to like Bill Russell. But I don't know. I feel like he's definitely the greatest in football. There's no argument there. I mean, he's won seven rings. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah, I agree. It hands down the GOAT in football. And the way I look at it, though, is he was in a new division. He had a new coach. He was in a new system, and he still pulls it off. And that in itself is unique and extraordinary. I mean, how many players can say that they've done it in football alone? Or I mean, you're comparing apples and oranges to other sports altogether as well. And like you said, it's comparing apples and oranges, but the thing that you can compare between all the sports is mentality and leadership. And how is he, bringing that to each team? And I'm going to get into that a little bit further when we start talking about some of these salary cap stuff. But what I really want to say is that you can tell that team changed, and it changed with him coming to Tampa, because they still have the same coach. They're still in the same division. Nothing else really changed except for Tom Brady being there. And he
not throwing 30 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
yeah,
that helps. That helps a lot too, and it also helps having a kicker who doesn't miss every field goal. But it breaks down to mentality and a leadership role, and bringing that winning mentality with him. I mean, you hear that story about Levante David and another defender crying in the locker room after the NFC Championship game because he was just overfilled with emotion. And Tom Brady walks past him and says, "What are you crying for? We still have another game." Pretty much telling him, like, we're not done yet. Forget everything we've done to this point, because we still have a whole nother game coming around. And so, like, that kind of cutthroat mentality, that the winners championship vibes, it rubs off on people. And I think that's what really brought this team kind of up and up and coming and became so great. I think
you can argue that this is his most impressive championship as a full season.
Absolutely.
Switching teams, switching playbooks, moving from all the way up in New England to Florida. I mean, it's a completely different scheme, different team, different everything. And I mean, you're going against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Granted, the defense carried that game a ton. But I mean, he played a pretty dang good game. I mean, he had like 200 something passing yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he looked great. I mean, I don't think did he throw an interception? He had that one that got called back on the penalty, but I don't think he threw one.
Yeah, no official interceptions.
Yeah.
Brady, if he's on your team, you have a chance to win, and there's a confidence there that is like, that's unparalleled. Like, I think modern day, like LeBron James, like if you have LeBron James on your team, that you've got a chance to win the championship. But going between sports, I think when it comes to, like, Brady also isn't the fastest player. He doesn't have the strongest arm. No. He isn't the most accurate. And he's 43 years old. He's one of the oldest players in the league playing that. That means he has to be the smartest, and he has to be the most efficient in how he uses his players. And maybe this speaks to New England, because last year they didn't have the team to surround him. Like, the defense kind of fell back just a little bit, and the offense, like the weapons. The report came out, I think it was right before the Super Bowl, that was the crux decision when the Patriots decided not to trade for Stephon Diggs. And the Buffalo Bills instead got Stephon Diggs in the big trade. They didn't go out. The Patriots didn't go out and get a stud receiver. And if we look at the history, we see a couple days later, Tom Brady decides, I'm leaving New England. And so just going to a place that has weapons that could support what he has, and giving. So it was a two-way street, I thought.
He also picked a team that had a fairly good offensive line and a fairly good defense.
Well, Tristan Wirfs, he was the one they drafted, right? It was Wirfs, their left tackle, the rookie left tackle, or right tackle. He had an amazing season. I saw on Twitter, I think today, that he only allowed like 1 sack the entire season. And the 1 sack was that time that Khalil Mack tossed him. If you guys remember the play I'm talking about, he literally threw him. That was crazy. But I just think it's so impressive that, I mean, I'm a Steelers fan. I do not like Tom Brady very much. I mean, I just got tired of him. He's insane though. I mean, he's so good. I totally agree. I think the most underrated part of Tampa Bay, I mean, everyone knows how good Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin is to have as your receiving core, and Gronk, who he's uber familiar with. Obviously, he had an amazing Super Bowl, by the way, 2 touchdowns. He looked awesome. I thought he was going to be washed, by the way. I was completely wrong about Gronk. I thought he was going to come back and be terrible this year. That's just my opinion. But anyway,
he was for quite some time. I mean,
he
underutilized and ran 23 routes the final 6 weeks, and it just was very underutilized and was washed. But he just, trust is a hard thing to break, and when you have that trust in somebody like Gronk, and that's what I overlooked for Super Bowl. I mean, I started him at DK, but missed it on like Prize Picks and the overs and unders, and it was just because I completely underestimated the connection they have in big games and the trust that they have.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that the most underrated part of Tampa Bay still was the defense, and hiring Todd Bowles as defensive coordinator. He did an incredible job. I think the thing that won them the Super Bowl, though, was the offensive tackles of the Chiefs being hurt. I mean, the receivers did not make any plays for Patrick Mahomes at all. I mean, doinked off the face mask. Kelsey was dropping passes. I mean, it was bad. But those edge rushers, man, I mean, it was almost, I think it was like the second most or the most in Super Bowl history of pressures on dropbacks or something like that. I mean, he was destroyed in that pocket.
Yeah, so
Mahomes was scrambling. He had like 300 something all-purpose like travel yards. Like they measured how much he scrambled around, and Brady only had like 38 for the game. So yeah, a lot went right for Tampa Bay's defense, and a lot went wrong for Kansas City here.
So Kansas City was pressured 29 times, which was the most in Super Bowl history, and they only brought extra pass rushers on 2 of those plays.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like watching the game, the commentators were calling it too because it was Romo who does a great job, and they pointed out over and over again that they had those 2 high safeties like the entire game, and they were getting home with 4 all the time. Like they weren't just getting home; like they were like heavy pressuring.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to like what we talk about. Like our next topic here is what went wrong for KC, right? And for me, it started with the line. I mean, you could tell, of course, Mahomes wasn't 100%. You could tell his toe was bothersome. He wasn't as mobile running around. He was limping. He's hobbling. But it breaks down to Eric Fisher being out. And you look back to the beginning of 2020, and injuries plagued this offensive line here. So before at the beginning of 2020, before the season started, Kansas City lost 2019 starting guard Laurent Duvernay and 2020 third round draft pick tackle Lucas Niang. Then they lose to the season-ending injuries to Eric Fisher, right guard. Was it Osamil? I can't ever pronounce his last name.
I think it's Osamili. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his last name.
I think it's Osamili, not Osamili.
Yeah.
Osamili.
You know, and so they lose some very key pieces on the offensive line. And we talked about this in the Bob Harris podcast from SiriusXM Radio is Eric Fisher in the lineup, they're 27-1. And you remove a focal point like that on your offensive line. And I think that we underestimated the impact that in his presence and what it meant for this offensive line and for this team.
Yeah, that was a storyline we were tracking because you brought it up 27-1, Billy, with him in the lineup, but only 4-4 with him not in the lineup. So they were really human. And that was one of the concerns Bob brought up was if they're going to be beat, if the Chiefs are going to be beat, it's going to be on the offensive line.
Hit the hammer on the nail.
It just shows you can never underestimate the value of a good offensive line. Which is exactly
what the Cowboys
fan. And that's exactly why the Cincinnati Bengals should be drafting Sewell in the top 5 this year. If they don't, they are stupid. I was talking to my Bengals fan on the phone earlier, and he's like, I want him or I want Jamar Chase. I was like, dude, you don't need Jamar Chase. Get an offensive lineman. If he's not there, trade back or something. Like, you don't need him. It's like the Cowboys adding CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's going to be nice long term, but like you're just going to have the same crap team for another year.
Yeah, and talk about the Cowboys and lines. I mean, look at the team that it was one of the most dominant offensive lines in the NFL, and they go through, an injury-plagued season, and next thing you know, they're one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL for the, the last 3 quarters of the season, and they're just getting steamrolled. They can't protect anything. They can't protect the quarterback. They can't protect the run, and that's exactly what's going to happen to the Bengals if they don't draft an offensive lineman here, and especially with the high draft pick and their franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, they're going to have to add some protection here, and in order for them to protect that asset.
Exactly. Like he just got a season-ending terrible knee injury. Like if you don't learn your lesson there and draft an offensive lineman to protect him, I don't know what you're doing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not like speculation. Like these injuries happened. Like we're not like, oh well, we definitely need to protect our asset. No, like that's been a struggle for the last few years, protecting the line, getting Joe Mixon space. Like Joe Mixon. He could be unlocked next year.
He could.
Like he's one of the players that I spoke like I was pessimistic about going into this season, partly because of the offensive line issues, but and they reared their heads. He still produced. Like imagine if he had an even below average offensive line. Sorry, I didn't know I was going to become a Joe Mixon apologist just for a
Oh
second.
no, I actually was thinking about that earlier. I was listening to my personal fantasy football podcast. I'm a big fantasy footballers guy. They're my favorite brand. But I was listening to them earlier, and they were talking about Joe Mixon, and I don't know if I'm in or out on him. I feel like he's a value right now just because everyone hates him. But like I'm really interested to see what his redraft price is next year and like where he's going in dynasty startups right now. I don't really know where he is, but I think he's a value.
Round 2, round 3 right now in FFPC. It seems to be
he's a value.
That spot.
He's definitely a value because he can. I mean, if everything goes right for Joe Mixon, he has a top 5 running back ceiling. Like if he like really goes off, I mean, he can be a top 5 guy. But the problem with Joe Mixon is not the situation. It's not the opportunity necessarily. It's the consistency. He's been so inconsistent every year. I mean, he got injured last year, but even before he got hurt, he was terrible out the gate. And then he went off and then he got hurt like the entire year, which sucked, obviously. But like the story of his career has been inconsistency. So it makes me a little hesitant to invest in him. But I feel like he's really talented and the Bengals offense should be good for a long time. And he just got re-signed. So I don't know.
Well, speaking of signings, we have a lot of impending free agents coming up here for Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think was going to happen here with Tampa Bay? Let's start with Gronk.
With Gronk, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't think he's going to leave anywhere if he is going to go anywhere else. I feel like he would either just retire or come back. I don't think he's going to leave because I feel like he just wants to play with Tom Brady or else he just wants to sit at home and go to the WWE and drink beer on a boat.
Yeah, it's like his ride or die brother, right?
That's what I think too.
It's I'm in with you until the end, and when Tom hangs it up, I think Gronk hangs it up the same time.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that's 3 for 3. I don't imagine he leaves until Tom does. So they're together. Yeah, they have a lot of free agents. So Gronk and then Antonio Brown is there. Mm-hmm. So signed to a veteran minimum, virtually veteran minimum deal. But like, did he price himself out of Tampa Bay now? Like, did he show enough at the end of the year? Do you think there are any other teams that are willing to take a chance on Antonio Brown other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
As a former Steelers fan, well, not former, I am still a Steelers fan. I don't know why I said like that. I was thinking about former because former Steelers, what I mean.
I understood.
Huge Steelers fan. I've seen how good Antonio Brown can be, but I just don't think an NFL team thinks it's worth it for the potential crazy and locker room cancer he has been. I mean, he's obviously behaved well Well, he destroyed like the security cameras or something, but but I mean, he's been doing better, it seems, but I mean, he just won a Super Bowl. So I just think that kind of like Gronk, I think he just has to be attached to Tom Brady in order to be a good boy and succeed in the NFL because he literally lives with him, I think. And if he went to another team like, I don't know, Miami or something and lived down in Miami, Florida and got like a mansion, I mean, he would go off the rails within weeks, I think. So I don't think an NFL team is going to be offering him the bag at all. I think he signs back in Tampa Bay for the minimum if they need him for another championship run, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. He's 32. He's going to be 33 in July. Major off-the-field issues, as we already discussed. I agree. I think he comes back on another cheap contract. And I think it's just because he wants to win. I mean, he wants the glory now, right? It's not about the money anymore. He could have made money if he stayed at the Raiders. He could have done all that. He wants to win, I think. And I think that's the only thing that's really keeping his sanity here and keeping it, I should say, at least, boxed in or controlled, right? Because they showed they can manage him. They showed they can do it. But I think you're right. I think it has to be where he's at currently. And I think he probably just hangs it up otherwise, unless someone offers him, and who could be wrong? Like someone could offer him, the Jets could be the Jets and offer him $16 million next year. And there goes all that whole theory. Because if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be the Jets. Right. And we could be completely wrong here, but I truly think that he stays in Tampa for a minimum contract.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, him and the Raiders are like one of the biggest what ifs in recent NFL history. Like, what if like nothing ever went wrong with him off the field and he was just like chilling in Las Vegas right now for the last couple of years? Like, I feel like he would have been so good for fantasy there, but oh well.
He would have been Hunter Renfrow would have been gone. They wouldn't have drafted Ruggs. Like, that would have changed the team dynamic. I think Derek Carr's narrative would be different too.
Dude, Derek Carr, I think I'm a Derek Carr apologist. Like, Derek Carr is actually like an underrated NFL quarterback. Like, actually, I think he's a pretty dang good actual real life NFL quarterback. Like if he went to like if like the Rams took him instead of Goff, for example, instead of Stafford, I feel like he's a definitely like, I wouldn't say he's top 10, but he's definitely above average in my opinion.
I was actually hoping he was going to the Niners, like in some like
that'd be a good fit, like
backdoor deal with Shanahan, the pocket passer.
Good idea. I like
would
that.
have been, and I went because they was like, quote unquote on the block and not on the block, and I think he's on the outline here later, but it would have been a sneaky play.
It would have actually, like, dude. I wish that happened now. I mean, it's still possible. Obviously, it's still possible, but like that's a.
I have like a list of like 5 quarterbacks I want for the Niners.
Yeah,
you can't tell with the red and gold behind me here.
Yeah. Oh, I was about to ask. I don't know if it's on the show doc as far as like 49ers quarterbacks. I say, well, there's like quarterback rumors.
Josh Rosen is.
Josh Rosen's on.
Ew. But who do you want to start for the Niners next year?
I mean, the honest question, the obvious answer here is Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Realistically, is it going to happen? Right? Probably not. We have a 12th overall pick, so it'd have to be. Bradley and I talked about this off air. Like, what is a realistic, scenario where this happens? And if I'd honestly say something like realistic here, it's probably going to be, Jimmy Garoppolo, our 12th pick, our 2022 first round pick, and probably like Warner, right, linebacker. It's something along those lines to where
would you give up Nick Bosa for him?
Man, I think so actually, because.
I think he's worth.
I think he's
more
worth
than
Bosa.
A lot of players in the NFL.
I think he's worth Bosa in a first, if not more. Honestly,
here's a tough one. I saw this on Twitter the other day. It was a PFF trade idea. PFF's kind of weird with their takes sometimes, but it was a trade concept with Washington, and it was Chase Young was involved in the package. If you were Washington, would you give up Chase Young for Deshaun Watson?
Absolutely.
Not like straight up, obviously. That's too easy, but
it would be
in
more.
A trade package.
It would have to be like a first and him plus.
Especially given that Washington's defense is like still good without Chase Young.
Well, you got to look at also like the price too. Like they set the market with the Stafford deal. Like his price just went up, at least double.
Dude, I think the Lions fleeced the Rams personally, but I mean it could be a win-win if the Rams are really good next year. I think they're going to be probably, but you have to win the title for it to be worth it, in my opinion.
I feel like we went through this dance a couple years ago when Tunsil was traded from the Dolphins to the Texans.
No, that was way worse in my opinion.
And the reason I'm saying that is because like we thought that the Houston Texans were a playoff, possible Super Bowl contender team, and that the talk was that this left tackle Laramie Tunsil is going to be the extra piece that's going to protect Deshaun Watson and get him to the promised land. And they sent a bunch of draft picks, first round picks, and that one first round pick is still coming back to haunt the Texans this year.
Number 3.
Right. And so in 2023 is the first round pick that I'm concerned about, that the Lions might still get a top 5 pick if the Rams aren't competitive in 2 years.
Yeah, it's tough, man. The thing that really sealed the deal for the trade with me is that the Lions get Jared Goff. I don't understand why everyone's leaving Jared Goff for dead. I mean, he's only 26 years old. He's average. He has potential. I mean, he has the tools to be an elite NFL quarterback still. I mean, look what happened with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, he went to Tennessee and now he's an elite quarterback. I mean, like anything is possible here. Everyone's leaving him for dead, I think, because Sean McVay, the so-called offensive like quarterback whisperer, couldn't do anything with him. But I mean, like, I think he's very capable still.
So it broke down to money, is what it broke down to. And
no, that's true. The contract was huge. I mean,
it was an NBA trade, is what it really was. It's I'm giving you picks to take over this contract, and so the Rams inherited the 2 years, $43 million remaining on Matthew Stafford's contract. The Lions took over $106.6 million on Goff's contract. The Rams carried $22.2 million dead cap hit in 2021 after trading Goff, and the Lions carried $17.8 million carrying Stafford here. So, I mean, essentially they said, hey, we'll give you 2 first round picks, swap quarterbacks, and you take the contract. And that's what it broke down to. And I agree. I think the Rams lost this trade, but everyone was talking about, essentially being just fleeced. And I think it's definitely, taken advantage of, but I wouldn't say it's fully fleeced here because they got out of a pretty gross contract.
No, I agree with that. The reason I'm saying I like it a lot for the Lions is because I understand that they're getting a salary dumped on them, but one, they can afford that right now.
They can.
And two, they can see what they have in Goff. And let's say Goff turns his career around and all of a sudden he has a renaissance in Detroit next year, which I don't think is likely, but it's possible. And if it does happen, then all of a sudden, okay, maybe the contract is worth it after all. And then that trade doesn't even turn into a salary cap dump. And then they're just trading away a franchise quarterback for franchise quarterback and then 2 first-round picks with it.
Yeah, it seems that like the Jared Goff, he's not a nobody, he's a somebody, and then the Lions can address other issues. They can address other positions of need like offensive line, they can reinvest in the wide receivers, they can invest in defense, and they can see what they have in both, Jared Goff for the next 2 years and any of the other pieces that they draft for the next couple of years, so that in that 2023 draft, if they need that a new quarterback, they can still get one. So I know that there's the holdover talk. I agree with you, Luke, though, that he's not so much of a downgrade from Stafford as many people think.
So I'm a numbers guy here, so I pulled up the cap space for 2021. The Lions don't have as much as most people expect. The Lions are actually 17th in expected cap.
How much money are we looking at there?
$6 million left in cap.
That's actually not much at all.
That's not much at all. But it's because the cap space is dropping, like compared to the Saints, who are negative $74 million right now.
Yeah. How was that possible?
Because the cap space dropped significantly from 2020 to 2021 because of revenue. So like back to the Bucs here. The Bucs actually have the 8th most cap space in the NFL. They have $28.4 million. And so I think that sets them up for success here to re-sign a lot of these pieces that they have coming up, like Shaq Barrett and Levante David, Godwin, potentially AB. Gronk's probably coming back. Does Fournette come back, right? These are all the questions.
And Ndamukong Suh.
Suh's overrated. He's one of the most overrated tackles in the league. He really is.
Pretty overrated.
I mean, speaking of Suh, PFF had him rated, what was it, a 60? I wrote it down here somewhere. 68.4, I think, is what they had him PFF rated.
Yikes.
61.8. There it is. 61.8. He was 28th in tackles in all the tackles in the league. He has 28th overall.
That's pretty good for a D tackle, I'd say.
No, that's for just the tackle position.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant like every player in the NFL. I was like, that's pretty good.
No, that's versus other tackles. 78th in assists, 11th in sacks, and so I think Suh's extremely overrated. I'm letting Suh walk if I'm the Bucs, right?
How much money is he getting this year?
I don't know.
He was $8 million. $8 million.
That's not cheap. That's not cheap.
No, compared to like Shaq Barrett, who has, I think Bradley wrote, what is it, 20 million?
He was 15. So he's 15.3 or something like that for this year because he's on the franchise. He was franchise tagged, and then his market value on SpotTrack.com is $20 million a year.
And if they franchise tag him again, it's $19 million.
Whew.
So they have some decent cap space, but when you start adding in Shaq Barrett, Levante David, and Chris Godwin, you're all of a sudden, and bring Gronk back in, all of a sudden you're in some cap space issues.
Yeah,
right?
I think Tampa Bay they're in a good spot where the players want to return and they have enough money to make it happen. I think the whole squad's coming back for Tampa for the most part.
The band's going to get back together.
They are. They're gearing up for another run next year.
And what is that? That's that winner's mentality. Tom Brady brought that over. We talk about it. I mean, I hate to take a dig here, Bradley, but I love Aaron Rodgers too. But could you imagine if Aaron Rodgers had the same mentality as Tom Brady? How many championships would that team had won by now?
Yeah.
That's tough. I don't know. I mean,
so tough.
Rodgers, I feel like Rodgers' supporting cast is just a lot worse than Brady's is usually.
Oh, look at who he's thrown to the last couple of years. Brady was in New England.
Well, I mean, did he win the last couple of years?
No, but he still went pretty far.
Against 2018 Rams.
Rodgers, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Rodgers, it's Devontae Adams and then a bunch of scrubs. I mean, Devontae Adams went.
Robert Tonyan, how dare you besmirch his name?
That's true. Yeah, Tunyan's pretty good, actually.
Okay, wait, real quick. Pause.
Go ahead.
Yes, let's do it.
Analyst poll, Dynasty startup. 2 names are on the board. You're in round, what, 7 are we in right now, Bradley?
Yeah.
7?
Sure.
You're in round 7. I guess the round doesn't matter. Scratch the round. Tight end, tight end Dynasty draft, Tunyan
Premium.
Or Premium, Tunyan or Fant?
No, Fant all day.
Thank you.
Get out of here.
Mic drop. I'm going to drop my mic.
Let me pull up my official Dynasty Nerds Dynasty GM rankings real quick.
Told you, Bradley.
Let me pull my sweet rankings, please.
I don't even need to look at my rankings. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, dude,
Noah Fant is a better tight end.
Easily. I'm pretty sure Tunnion's my tight end 12 and Fant's like tight end 5 or something.
So
exactly.
Here's my 1 minute apology or defense of Robert Tonyan.
All you gotta do is just reach behind you and grab the cheese head and put it on. That's your defense.
Dude, okay. Tyler Higbee is Robert Tonyan. Okay.
That's not true. Stop saying things like that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Tonyan is he actually had a 38% dominator rating in college.
Oh, you're one of those guys, huh?
No, I'm not one of them. Luke. Over the summer, Tonyan was my deep cut of the week. There's history there.
It was preseason, actually.
Oh, really? So you're like a Tonyan truther.
So like
it was preseason. It was pre-week 1. He actually recommended Tonyan as a draft pick.
But you're wrong. So
wow. Okay, I do have love for Tonyan, but I think that like as much love as Fant has. The wide receiver and receiving depth chart there is just too much for Denver.
Noah Fant is my tight end 6, and Robert Tonyan is my tight end 11.
Okay,
I'm pretty close.
It's clear for Luke.
I'm pretty sure I'm either 5 without pulling it up. I'm either 5 or 6 and 11 or 12.
But with Drew Lock at quarterback, Cortland Sutton coming back, Jerry Jeudy, and Tim Patrick showing something, there's just a smaller pie, and he wouldn't get as much of it. I know that Fant has played well. And he'll probably have a higher PPR, but give me Tonyan with touchdowns and a larger percentage of that pie.
What are you gonna do in like 4 years when Rodgers is gone, though?
Well, while Bradley's talking about tight ends over here, and I don't care about Robert Tonyan, I pulled up our FFFanalysts.com way too early dynasty rankings.
Oh no, did I betray myself? Hush.
No, you did not actually.
Good.
You put Tonyan. You put Tonyan at 7. You put Fant at 9. I had Tonyan
at 9. Who does he have above Fant?
He's got Henry at 8, and he's got
Hunter Henry above Fant. Get out of here with that garbage.
And so I
that's subject to change given that he's a free agent.
I had Fant at 6, and I had Tonyan at 10. So
yeah, that's fair. Tonyan at 10 is totally fair. I have him at 12. My tight end rankings are as follows. I have Travis Kelce 1, Kittle 2, Andrews 3, Waller 4, Hawkinson 5, Fant 6, Dallas Goedert 7. I'm high on Goedert.
We have
Jonnu 8, Evan Ingram 9, Hunter Henry 10, Gesicki 11, Tonyan 12, Cole Kmet 13.
Evan Ingram, gosh. This is getting me all riled up.
Fantasy.
I'm so anti Evan Ingram. He will never show up on any of my teams.
I have a love-hate relationship with Evan Ingram. We're in a love phase right now.
Yeah, you'll hate him when he drops everything. Okay,
so here we go.
Here we go.
Okay.
I love it. Go for it, Billy.
I got to pause it because our website, I can hear myself talking. And it's kind of throwing me off. So we have consensus rankings here on the right. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but we have all of our rankings here. You can go to the FFFanalysts.com rankings and go to the way too early. We only have the top 25 out per position, but we're going to get them filled here closer to the draft. And tabs down at the bottom because it's all synced through Google. And so here we got Bradley's got Kelce at 1, George Kittle at 2, Darren Waller at 3, Andrews/Mandrews at 4, Hawkinson at 5, Goddard at 6.
Okay.
Tonyan at 7, Henry at 8, Fant at 9, Gesicki at 10. That's where I'll stop. And I have Kelce at 2, George Kittle at 1, Darren Waller at 3, Mark Andrews at 4, Hawkinson at 5, Goddard at 7, Tonyan at 10, Henry at 8, Fant at 6, and Gesicki at 9.
Yeah, that's fair. You guys are pretty high on Irv Smith.
Well, he's
Rudolph's
high
ranked. Cut.
That's true.
Yeah, no. I mean, I understand it. I haven't seen enough for me yet.
Well, I also may be pulling him down because this is a foretaste, but Tyler Conklin kind of showed a little bit of something. And with the Vikings definitely running 2 tight end sets and Kubiak retired, and you know who they hired? Kubiak.
Oh yeah, yes. I did see that actually.
It is spelled Abron. That's true. That's true.
Is it supposed to be that way? I don't
No,
think
it's not.
Okay.
I intentionally made it that way. It was not an unintentional misspelling.
You intentionally made it that way.
That's true.
Okay.
As opposed to like, so it just left off the L at the beginning.
It's LeBron James, but Eric Ebron.
Eric Abron. That's how you pronounce
Oh,
it.
LeBron. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my tight end. Where do I have Irv Smith? Do I need to do a live rankings adjustment? I probably do. I have him at 17. That's a little
Yeah,
low.
I think that's a little low.
I think he's between like 12 and 15. Quite
Live
frankly.
rankings adjustment. Where do you guys have Zach Ertz? I have him at 15 still. I don't know what the hell to do with him.
I have him at 19, and Bradley has him at 17.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do a little swap ski with him and Irv, and then Irv Smith or Hayden Hurst. That's a tough one for me.
Hurst was a top 10 tight end, and he didn't feel like it.
Yeah, I'm leaving it as is right now.
I just can't get behind the Hayden Hurst. I just can't do it. And
You know what I really can't get behind is Austin Hooper.
Not in the Browns.
Not with two other really good tight ends on the team.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the
Like
problem.
Bryant and Njoku, who are like Bryant was a rookie this past year, showed out, and Njoku, they extended his 5th-year option, so it's not like he's going. He's not
Dude,
going.
he deserves
anywhere.
to be traded, and Njoku needs freed.
He does. I would actually like. I'd love to see him in Seattle, and as a Niner fan, I'm saying that like he would
free Njoku and OJ Howard.
Man, and OJ's coming off that Achilles, so that's another reason why Gronk's probably
I
coming
forgot
back.
about that.
Yeah, so that's another kind of a insurance signing there for Gronk coming back with 50-year-old Tom Brady
And Cameron Brate.
And Cameron Brate's actually not a bad tight end.
Cameron Brate is underrated.
He's so underrated.
He's actually pretty good.
He is good.
Well, he was a top 10 tight end with Jameis Winston throwing him the ball. So
Winston loved him. Like he
dude, Jameis Winston. Shout out to fantasy footballers again. I keep going back to them for some reason, but they had this running joke with Cameron Brate and Jameis Winston that they were like best friends, and like after school they'd go get like frozen yogurt at the mall together. They like love each other so much.
Oh man,
my theory is that Brate's is such a big target that even with his bad vision, he was able to see him.
Dude, I think Jameis Winston should 100% be the starter for the Saints next year.
Oh, don't get Billy started on this.
I don't care. Go ahead, Billy. Fight me.
Oh no, I would absolutely love it because I'm not even gonna. I don't.
Do you hate Jameis?
He almost dropped the F-bomb right there on Taysom Hill.
Oh, you hate Taysom Hill.
Oh, he's cost me so much damn money this year.
I hate
him.
Sucks. I think Jameis Winston. He has.
Why are you gonna pay a man $16 million to be a Wildcat quarterback? It makes no.
He is.
sense.
I mean, if you watch, everyone I remember what game was I watching? I was watching some kind of like ESPN coverage.
I'm all hot now.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, just get topless, do it. But
Billy, it's your turn to take off your shirt.
Oh my god, I hate Taysom Hill. Like,
I was watching.
Look at him as a quarterback. Okay, like
and they were like 3 and what did they say? I think they said they were undefeated or something when Taysom Hill was the starter. I was like, dude, if you watched those,
look at the schedule. They played Atlanta twice.
I know,
and they played the Broncos, who didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. If you watched those games, he was awful.
He was terrible.
He is not a starter.
Emmanuel Sanders had to run 15 yards back to catch a ball. It's the only reason why he caught that ball, because the defender kept running. And Emmanuel Sanders actually tracked the ball, turned around, ran backwards to it, caught it, and then it was just some fluke play because Taysom Hill threw this quote-unquote Hail Mary up that only went like 30 yards.
And Jameis has the potential, man. Like, if he cuts those interceptions in half and just like actually gets some good coaching, like he has potential to be really good.
Yeah, look at the little flea flicker they did. It was a money throw.
He looks great.
And I think that Jameis Winston would do fantastic in that offense. You have Michael Thomas there. You have Kamara.
And it revived Michael Thomas narrative. I'll tell you what, that's one of the wide receivers who's taken the biggest dynasty hit this past year.
Really has.
Yeah, he just felt gross this year.
He was gross.
And he felt like the safest wide receiver going into the season.
He did. I had him I didn't have him as a wide receiver 1. I had him pretty high going into the season.
I had him as my wide receiver 2.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he looked great. I mean, there was no reason on paper for him to not be a top 5 guy. And he just stunk it up with injury.
He was my number 1 going into the season. I had Devontae at 2.
For dynasty or redraft rankings?
For my redraft.
Yeah, I think for redraft coming into the year, I also had him as my 1 because he was so safe. Like, he was just the safest guy.
Dynasty, I had Tyreek ahead of him.
Yeah, my dynasty, real quick back to the dynasty rankings. My top 5 wide receivers for dynasty are DeAndre Hopkins. I'm a big Hopkins guy. I think Hopkins is.
I love this impromptu. Yeah,
phenomenal.
Hopkins
Pull it up, Billy.
1, Adams is my 2.
I'll pull it up.
Hill is my 3. Justin Jefferson is my wide receiver 4, and AJ Brown's my wide receiver 5.
I got like way too.
We
many
love
windows
AJ
open
Brown
now.
here on the Fantasy Football Fanalysts.
Dude, AJ Brown's a stud muffin. I love that man.
All right, let's go share screen and Chrome windows. Way too early rankings. Okay, let's get down here to the wide receiver rankings. And here we go. So Bradley, Devontae Adams at 1, AJ Brown at 2, Tyreek Hill at 3, Justin Jefferson at 4.
Brown at 2. I don't know if I can get behind that.
Let's go.
That's high.
Bradley likes to have some splashing waves.
Look, I love AJ Brown going into this season. He was wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 for me in redraft.
Yep.
And he overperformed what I had projected for him
On a points per game basis.
Yeah.
You guys have Hopkins out of your top 6? That's kind of crazy, boys.
I mean, you got to think he's 28. He's starting to fall off a little bit. I think
you have Metcalf as your 1. We need to
I
talk.
do.
What is this?
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you, Luke.
Man, he's the 1?
I got to put it this way, buddy.
Look, you thought AJ Brown was crazy at 2. Just wait until you see Billy's 1.
Billy, there's no way you can tell me that in the next 5 years, DK Metcalf will finish as the wide receiver 1 at any point.
I think he will.
Thank you.
He finished 2020 as wide receiver 1.
The wide receiver 1?
No, not but as a wide receiver 1. So now he's only 23 years old. Okay, so you have Devontae Adams, Devontae Adams is a better wide receiver right now, but he's 28 years old. Tyreek Hill, to me, is a better wide receiver right now, but he's 26 years old. But I think in 5 years, DK Metcalf is still arguably
Russell Wilson may not be with the Seahawks this coming fall.
I think Russell Wilson might get traded. I really think it's possible.
I still think that DK Metcalf has a lot of Megatron in him.
Dude, but did you see the back half of the year, though?
I did, but that also was the play calling. And
I know, but
they just fired the guy, Schottenheimer.
Dude, I don't know, man.
Said he wanted to air it out.
Tyler Lockett.
As a Niner fan, I have DK Metcalf as my number 1 dynasty wide receiver.
Oh, their new offensive coordinator was a running backs coach previously. So
they're running that ball, man. You guys are also pretty high on Ridley. I love Ridley, but I love
Ridley.
I have Ridley at wide receiver 12.
I think I had Ridley at number 10 this year.
Permission to share my screen for my rankings momentarily.
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to stop sharing this one.
Let's do this. Chrome tab, Dynasty GM, share. Perfect. These are my rankings. Welcome. Yeah, so we can do some live adjustments if we want, guys. So I have Hopkins at 1 just because I love him so much. Adams is 2. Hill is 3. Jefferson's 4. Brown 5.
Hopkins at when he's 28 years old.
Yeah.
This is Dynasty?
I think he's going to be elite.
I think you're taking the crazy pills here, Luke.
No. I feel
he had way too much Captain Crunch tonight.
Most people don't have them as their 1, but most people have them.
Yeah, what's in the Captain Crunch? I want some.
Captain Crunch.
No.
Let's live tweet. I'm tweeting that out. What's in the Captain Crunch, Luke?
Hold up. Wait, you have DK Metcalf where?
6.
And
okay, so he splitsies. He splitsies with us. You average out.
That's a pretty average ranking, I'd say, for Metcalf.
That's fine.
Terry McLaurin 7, CeeDee Lamb 8 because he's a dog and will be a dog for several years to come. Stephon Diggs 9, Michael Thomas 10. Thomas will probably go up next year though.
Oh, Ridley's way too low.
No, he's Ridley's not. Too low. I would rather if you offered me a 1-for-1 trade for all of the guys above him, I would accept the other guy. That's the way I do my rankings. I just think of if someone sent me a 1-for-1 trade of the guy, who would I take?
I would 100% send you Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, and CeeDee Lamb ahead for Calvin Ridley.
DeAndre Hopkins.
If someone right now in Dynasty sent you Michael Thomas straight up for Calvin Ridley, you'd accept Ridley's side?
I would take Ridley's side.
Yeah, I'd take Ridley.
I'm tweeting out a Twitter poll about that. I'm curious.
I would probably send a third. I'd probably send Thomas in a third to get Ridley in Dynasty.
Dynasty. Pick 'em.
Luke is so shook by this Ridley.
No. I mean, I feel like it's a reasonable take. I just feel like I would rather have the Thomas side for sure.
So
he's going to be 29, by the way. You know Thomas is turning 29, right?
Yeah, he's not a young pup anymore. CeeDee Lamb.
There's this thing called age in Dynasty, and there's a cliff.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like Michael Thomas is very good still, and he'll have a great year next year.
I just feel like he's going down the diva route, and he could fall off a cliff here anytime soon.
He could, but I don't think he's crazy. Is the thing.
I think he's a little crazy.
I think he's a little crazy. He's not Antonio Brown crazy. He's not. I will put my feet in the freezer crazy.
Where do you guys have the 3 Steelers receivers ranked? I'm curious. As a Steelers,
we have them like back to back. I think. Hold up.
A lot of people do that. They have like the 1, 2, 3.
So we have Deontay at 21. We both have Deontay at 21.
I have him at 20, so that makes sense.
He has Chase Claypool at 23. I have Chase at 26.
I have him at 23 too. Jinxies.
Hey,
he's got
great minds
Juju
think alike.
Bradley has Juju at 24, and I have Juju at 25.
I have him at 27. To me, okay, let me tell you, as a Steelers fan, let me give you some insight on Juju, okay? He is a very good real-life wide receiver, and he's very unselfish, and I think he's a good guy. The whole TikTok thing was really weird this year with the media, and like everyone hates him now or something. I don't know why.
Because he had more dances than he had receptions.
I don't give a shit about that, if I'm being honest. I really don't. They did that. Okay, listen. He did that every game of the entire
I know. And you don't let the boys play.
When they
let
were
the boys dance.
Did you even know he was doing that?
Yes.
Exactly.
Not until they started losing.
Exactly.
Until they started losing.
You start losing, it's a problem. When you're winning, It's not a problem at all.
Winning forgives everything.
Exactly.
Winning
That's
forgives
what I'm saying.
everything.
It doesn't really matter. It's a non-story. But anyway, Juju is a very good NFL wide receiver. I'm not biased with my takes at all. I don't like being a homer in my rankings or my analysis at all. Juju is good.
At me next time about Robert Tonyan.
That's fine. I don't really care if people are homers. That's just not the way I do things. But he's been misused. He deserves more targets. He deserves more manufactured touches. He has the ability to take over a game when he gets hot. He's a really good wide receiver. My comp for his career, I think, is Jarvis Landry. I think he's a Jarvis Landry caliber real-life wide receiver. He's not going to come in and be the elite one, but he can be a really, really good wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 1 if you really need one terribly for an NFL team. They just haven't been using him right. If he goes to a good situation, it would not shock me if he finished in the top 15 next season. But I don't think if he stays in Pittsburgh, he's going to be anything special for fantasy.
Can you scroll down one more? I just want to see where there he is. 36. Man, how the mighty have fallen.
He's so injury prone recently.
Yeah,
I mean, he's injury prone his whole career, and I just don't think he's a good fit in Cleveland right now.
I moved him to 28.
That's fair. I mean, I don't blame you. I probably should move Julio below these rookies.
And so I think that Odell, I understand the injury prone and everything that's going on, and we're not going to see the Odell Beckham that we saw from before. It's just not going to happen anymore, right? But
no, of course not.
But as your wide receiver 3 on a fantasy team, like, he could potentially win you a league.
He could. I mean, that's what I thought this year too. I thought this is the return of Odell.
I did too this year. I had him in a lot of places.
Well, it may take next year as well because he's recovering from the injury, but it's also he relearned the playbook. It's a new coach, and Baker's just started to get hot at the end of last year. So
dude, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I don't know how happy I'd be giving Baker Mayfield a big contract.
Man, you have Ayuk at 31. Wow, that's kind of far down.
Yeah, I need to adjust these rookies.
I have him at 20.
I really like Ayuk. I need to adjust this. Let's do some live rankings adjustments, guys. Keep talking. I'll just do this while I'm sitting here. I need to move Ayuk up for sure.
And given Ayuk had a great year because Debo was out, because Kittle was out, so he's not going to have.
I would rather have Judy. I'd rather have Sutton over. No, I don't.
I would not want you. Judy is.
I want Judy.
Judy's my 30th.
I like Judy. Would you rather have Boyd or Brandon Ayuk?
I'd rather.
I love Tyler Boyd.
I like Boyd, but I like Ayuk a little bit more. I think that just a little bit more electric.
The quarterback situation in San Fran concerns me.
Look what he did, and he had Nick Mullins and
I
know. I'm not. But Kittle also wasn't there. You got to remember that. I don't know. Yeah, let's move some of these guys up. I need to move Rager down a spot, I think. Well, no, I don't. I don't know. I don't like Rager as much as most.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that he's that high, to be honest. I don't think he showed almost anything his rookie year. And with the questions at quarterback, like, I don't know if we can trust Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz may be on the outs. Like, we thought that he was going to get traded to Chicago when David Montgomery.
Jalen Hurts real quick, though. I'm in on Jalen Hurts for fantasy. If he's a starter, like if he's confirmed the starter, I'm in.
He's a quarterback one if Wentz is gone.
I cannot wait until Wentz gets traded. That 32-team league. So we're in a 32-team league. It's there's no copies, and 32 teamers. It's a super flex and not a quarterback position, just in case your quarterback gets hurt. But I have Wentz and I have Hurts, and so as soon as Wentz gets traded, it's a gold mine. I got two quarterbacks in that 32 team.
Dude, I love me some Jalen Hurts for fantasy, man. He has that sweet rushing floor. Oh man, it's gonna be beautiful. He's gonna be a QB1.
Yeah, I'm excited for him once he gets traded, but we thought that Wentz was gonna get traded real quick, and the coming days, like that may be a month from now.
I saw some headlines that they're losing trade leverage because they're asking for too much.
They're asking for what they say, a Stafford-like deal. Like, that's just crazy. You might get round one. You're not getting anything else.
If you're getting a quarterback in a trade right now, who would you rather have, Jared Goff or Carson Wentz? I'd rather have Carson Wentz.
I would too, probably, actually.
I'd rather have Carson Wentz. I think he has the ability. I just think he needs a new start.
I think Wentz has the year.
You got to think about the year that before, when he tore his ACL, he was the MVP leading.
You can say that about Derek Carr.
Front runner.
You can say that about Derek Carr too. I'm just saying.
It is true,
but Carson Wentz is. I mean, he has the ceiling, man. It's there. Like, we've seen.
I think he had the ceiling. I think now. I mean, there was talk in Philadelphia ever since his concussion in the playoffs that he's just not even been the same person.
That's sad to hear, man.
I it's scary.
I personally just think he needs a change of scenery, and he needs to be given the keys to the franchise and saying, "Hey, you're the guy."
I mean, they did. They gave him all of the money. They gave him this huge contract, and then when they
Jalen Hurts in the second rounds.
I mean, they drafted the Packers drafted Jordan Love in the first round.
I know, but that's Aaron freaking Rodgers. That's different. Aaron Rodgers is damn good. I know. Okay, Packers fan. How long do you think Aaron Rodgers is a starting quarterback? I'll give it 2 more years max.
I'd say 2 years, and he's on the Bears.
Stop! Don't even say that.
Oh my god!
That's a way to melt my cheese. Okay.
Crazy.
Real talk. I think that Rodgers. I think that Rodgers sticks around, especially if they continue to win. And I think that the Packers. I was talking with, I can't remember who it was on Twitter.
Are they winning right now?
It was Metcalf. It was Metcalf on Twitter, Andrew Metcalf, and he was like, the Packers are not going to make the same mistake again. And there was a lot of chatter before, evidently, about the running game and the quarterback and all of that the Packers were actually looking at that not much of the media was actually picking up or taking seriously. And so now I'm just going to be listening very closely to what the Packers are doing. They better address the defense, and they need another wide receiver. I know Billy's really put like Corey Davis in Green Bay.
Michael Gallup, Will Fuller. Give me all of it.
Fuller, right? Those would be good fits. I think, Juju?
Juju would also be a great fit. I'm sitting on a live trade offer in one of my Dynasty leagues right now for Jalen Hurts.
Nice.
Don't mind me.
So I think that's really what is going to have to happen if Aaron Rodgers is going to stick around for longer than, as both of you said, 2 years. He's going to have to continue to win, because for the last 2 years, he's been 1 game away from the Super Bowl. And I think they would have lost to the Bucs again. They would have lost. I think they could have beaten the Chiefs. This Chiefs team was beatable.
Packers?
Yeah.
I think the NFC was better than the AFC this year for sure.
So I think that the Packers could have won the Super Bowl had they been able to get past the Bucs. But this is the second year in a row that I think they could have won the Super Bowl last year too against the Chiefs had they been able to beat the 49ers. But the 49ers were a very good team last year.
I was at that game, and we only threw the ball like 12 times, and literally just all they did was run.
Yeah, they couldn't do it. So, all right. Hey, so we're at 1 hour.
That's crazy. I feel like it's barely been any time, dude.
Billy, like, we can just keep going until we, finish out the outline, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it. I got probably about 15 minutes of it. If I need to leave, I can just head out. You're hosting and let you guys finish up here. But let's keep going for a little bit.
Fantastic. A couple other things. The New York Jets have been answering calls. They have not been turning away phone calls about Sam Darnold, which makes sense. But where do both of you see Sam Darnold next year? Still on the Jets or on another team?
If I'm the general manager of the New York Jets, I am drafting Justin Fields and trading Sam Darnold. I still believe in Sam Darnold, for the record. I just think that if you're the general manager of the New York Jets, you don't get the opportunity to pick possible generational talent at quarterback every year. And let's say Justin Fields becomes the next Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes type quarterback, and you keep Sam Darnold and he's mediocre, the fan base will burn you alive. So I think you have to make that pick and live with the consequences. And trading Sam Darnold doesn't just, okay, let's say that you stick with the pick, you don't trade anything, and you just try to build around Sam Darnold and you draft like Sewell or something. You don't get extra draft capital for Sam Darnold to build around the team further. If you trade Sam Darnold, you get more pieces too, which is an added benefit.
Yeah, I agree. You have to trade Darnold. Darnold's actually on my list of quarterbacks I'd like to see come to the Niners because I agree. I don't think he's done. I just think he's been in a bad situation, and just like most people they've been gazed, right? Gazed and confused.
No, and he's the worst. He's
just the worst. He was, rode the Peyton Manning coattails and just he's probably the best interviewer in the world because
he has got to be.
He has to be.
Somehow this guy keeps getting interviews, or either that, or he has a lot of dirty laundry on people. But I just think that
falls his way into head coaching jobs over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think that Darnold has shown flashes, right? We have seen many spurts to where he has 3-4 touchdown games, 300-yard games. And I just think that with a better supporting cast, with a better, coach behind him in a better system, I truly think that Darnold can be a good quarterback. I mean, I had Darnold ranked ahead of Josh Allen coming into the NFL. And everyone
did. I feel like Josh Allen was an overrated prospect.
No, I mean, I joked around about it all offseason that Josh Allen couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And then he went from like 55.8, accuracy to 70% in 1 year. That's unheard of. No one does that.
No.
But Darnold has a good arm. Darnold had more accuracy coming out of college. Darnold was a better quarterback coming out of college. And I just think that the Jets have done him a disservice and have, jetsed his career essentially. And
jetsed him up a little.
Gazed his career.
They jets and gazed him. And here he is now we're only 3 years removed from him being the number 3 overall draft pick.
And we thought maybe he would be the generational talent. So
I agree, though. You get some more capital from him. You trade him away. If you can get a late first or even a second, I think at this point you take it for the Jets, and you draft quarterback at number 2, and then from there you build around that. And you take an extra lineman if you can get a 1 or whatever, wherever it is, however you're going to finagle it. You have to build around the new quarterback. You have to implement a change inside, a new culture inside these Jets offense and inside establishment. And then you have to trade away Darnold to get that pick. And there's other teams out there who are going to be able to use Darnold, like the Niners. And there's a couple other teams out there. Washington even would be a good fit for Darnold. And to where there's teams out there that are in, they're going to have more pieces to set him up to succeed. It's going to do him better for his career and also help the Jets set themselves up for the future.
Yeah, I think that Sam Darnold's place to be successful is not with the Jets. It has to be somewhere else. And I think you mentioned it, Billy, the 49ers, but also is the Washington football team. I think the Chicago needs to make some calls. Like Foles and Trubisky aren't the answers. I know they probably have been talking about Wentz, but like, what's going to cost you more, Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold?
So real quick, while we're on, you mentioned Watson's name here, but you also mentioned, we've been talking about the Jets. The Jets are the favorite right now to land Watson. I mean, Vegas odds right now is plus 230 to the Jets.
Dude, if I was Deshaun Watson, I would not want to go to the Jets.
I mean, I wouldn't either. But
I want to go to the Miami Dolphins.
But I mean, the Jets have a lot of money and they're going to pay you, right? And so Jets are 230. Carolina's 300. Miami is 700. SF is 850. They're 4th overall. Broncos are plus 1,000 at 5th overall. Patriots are plus 1,200, which is an interesting conversation here because there was an ESPN interview, and I forget the guy's name. He was the old Jets GM for a series of years there, and he had a conversation with Belichick, and Belichick had mentioned that they are willing to give up a lot for Deshaun Watson because they feel like they're a quarterback away from beating the Chiefs and going back to the Super Bowl.
No, they're not.
Are you kidding me?
That was a quote unquote from an ESPN interview. So I personally think they're a little bit further behind, but could you imagine being in that conference all these years of Tom Brady and Tom Brady finally leaves and then all of a sudden they get Deshaun Watson?
That would be too much
though, because like their draft capital isn't amazing. Like I feel like they're not a good trade partner. Like if I was the Texans, I feel like the Dolphins are by far the best trade partner because you can get Tua. You can get Tua and you can get draft picks, I think.
No, but what's his name is very close with Belichick. I'm blanking on his name right now. Him and Belichick are close, and he's now what does he do now?
Casino.
Thank you. Yes, and so
the GM.
Yes, so him and Belichick are tight.
Well, we saw that previous relationship happen, or not that particular relationship, but front office staff becomes a GM.
Look at Rams and Detroit.
Les Snead and what's his name, Brad Holmes.
Yep.
The scouting department. Those relationships. When you got a guy on speed dial.
Yep.
And the needs, not just of the team on the field, but also the personnel and the inner workings of it, and the culture. When and you can make that sell differently than other teams, I mean that is an advantage.
And what Vegas has them at 6th overall. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's some strong connections there.
It is. Yeah, there are definitely.
Okay, a couple more things. Let's see. Andrew Luck rumors shot down quickly. The Colts are going to be looking for a quarterback here.
No, Andrew Luck.
I'm more disappointed that I was actually looking forward to Captain Andrew Luck coming back to Twitter, and the fact that
my god, I love that guy.
The fact that that's not. I was like, right when I saw Andrew Luck rumors coming back, I'm like, yes, Captain Andrew Luck is coming back, and then I saw all these being shut down, and I was like.
He should change players and just like move on to a different guy.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And I'm pretty sure it was Andrew Luck himself.
It'd be hilarious if it was.
I think it was.
I think it was. I really do.
I don't think it was.
No?
No.
So we kind of hit on it. Russell Wilson wanting more say in personnel decisions.
Get out
of
here.
That's leading teams. And that's leading teams to call the Seahawks even after.
There's something brewing in Seattle with Wilson and the management. They are not happy with each other.
Well, because they refused to let Russ cook the second half, and then they fired or let go the offensive coordinator Schottenheimer, who was letting him cook, and then Carroll said, no, I don't want Russell Wilson making turnovers at the rate he was, because he was throwing. I think he threw like 13 interceptions this year, which was the most in the last few years.
It's not even that bad, honestly. I mean, it's not great.
Could be Jameis Winston.
Yeah, he had 17 left to go. I mean, he had a lot of room.
Yeah, seriously.
So, yeah, I see that there's a tension. I don't think there's enough smoke right now. But it's worth at least, I think, keeping the pulse on. And I think that other NFL teams are starting to smell the smoke. Heineke signs a backup deal in Washington.
I mean,
it's a backup deal.
Possibility, but I don't know. I'm really interested to see where Mac Jones goes because I'm a big Mac Jones fan. I think he's probably going to be my QB4. I haven't done my evaluations on quarterbacks yet, but I imagine my order is going to be Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, Jones. Wait, no, Lance. Lance is in there. Crap. Oh, God. Probably my quarterback 5 then. But yeah, I haven't done my quarterback evaluations yet, but I really like Mac Jones. I think
you could argue he could be 3. There's a lot of arguments there that it could be made.
He could be. I mean, he could be 3, but I mean, I don't know. I need to watch my film on my guys, but I think that Mac Jones, I feel like he's really underrated because I think people really just like dismissed him because like, oh, he's in the Alabama system, but then they log on to Twitter and tweet about how much they like Tua, who was in the same system. So I mean, I don't know. I like Mac Jones a lot. I feel like he has a lot of intangibles that you want in your quarterback. I mean, he just won the national championship.
He steamrolled people.
Yeah, he steamrolled people. I mean, he was a high riser. He looks amazing this year. Like I said, I need to watch the tape, but I mean, he could be potentially a huge steal in the draft this year if he falls out of the teens.
He could be the next Watson.
He could be. He could be. You're right. An overthought of prospect who steamrolled people, won the national championship, and like, yeah, he's whatever. And they draft Trey Lance and all these guys above him, and then he turns out to be a total stud.
That's what it reminds me of, is that same scenario, just overlooked, that just dominated in college and in this final year, and just could really become a great NFL quarterback. But everyone just looked at the prospects ahead of him, and that's exactly how I'm looking at him right now. And I'm balancing him. I'm on the same fence with you. I'm bouncing him back between 3 and 5, 3, 4, 5, and kind of that whole interchangeable right there, because it's really gonna, like, where they land is really gonna probably determine what their ultimate ranking is. But in terms of pure talent, like, it's arguable between those 3 and 5.
It definitely is. It definitely is. I just think that the potential is immense for him, and I just think that he has a lot of those soft skills that you want from your quarterback. I don't know. I'm very interested.
See, for me, I actually like this Heineke signing. I think it's sneaky, and I think it's smart.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's sneaky. I'm just saying I don't think he's going to be the guy.
So they got him for 2 years and $8.75 million. It's all incentive based, right? And you look back at that Bucs game in the wild card weekend playoffs. He looked actually more than capable. He looked good. He led the team in rushing yards also. He had 46 rushing yards.
Well, he's running for his life. Did you see Patrick Mahomes? Yeah. He just happened to run forward a few times.
He had 306 passing yards that game. So he had more than Mahomes had versus this defense, right? And I'm not saying he's Mahomes. Don't get me confused here. I'm just saying.
Wait, I need to tweet that out for a second.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Speaking of tweeting, let's check out my Twitter poll about Michael Thomas.
So he had a great game. Alex Smith, though, you look back here. Alex Smith is scheduled to count for $24.4 million against the salary cap.
You can't cut that.
So that's if he returns to Washington. I understand he's player of the year, but if you cut him, it's only $10 million in dead cap.
But
Alex Smith is a cap.
That would be such a PR nightmare.
I don't think so.
Billy, I have adjusted my rankings after looking at the Twitter poll and admitting I'm wrong. Calvin Ridley has been picked 75% of the time over Michael Thomas.
Yes!
Let's go. I just moved Ridley up to number 10 and Michael Thomas down to number 12.
Well, thank you for your learning, Luke. We appreciate that.
No problem.
All right. So, Billy, we've got you for just a couple more minutes.
I probably should run here in like 10.
All right, let's rush through here 5 to 10 minutes and we'll get it finished.
Yeah, we're in the last section of the pod here. So, Luke, you're starting the 3CoSports podcast.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so talk to us about it. Why are you starting it? What will you be sharing about? Where can people listen? Can you give us some deets on it?
Yeah, for sure. So I came on with Alex and Angel and 3Co back in November. Alex actually hit me up after I wrote my first article for Dynasty Nerds. It's still my only article I wrote for them, actually. I just found out, I wrote the article. I thought it was a good article, actually. I'm proud of it, but it's not really my thing. I'm not like a writer necessarily, but I do enjoy it. So Alex just DM'd me after I put my first article in there. He's like, hey, if you're ever interested in doing some like writing with like some freedom for my company, like let me know. And he just gave me the ad. I was like, yeah, sure. Like I would love to come on and do that. And I'm also like, I was running the Dynasty Nerd social media at the time already. So I was like, if you want me to do social media as well, like I can totally do that. And then I hopped on a call with Angel, as you guys know, back in November, like a week after I talked to Alex. And we talked. I came on board as a free intern because I'm just all about getting experience. And then within a week, Angel liked me so much that he's like, here, okay, we're going to pay you $150 a month and you're doing my social media. And you're also going to be kind of like my little like correspondent or whatever. I was like, okay, cool. So I started running their social media and stuff. And then it was going really well, and I started to gain a lot of traction on my personal Twitter. I mean, I do not care about numbers at all, but I've been like, my personal Twitter got like a crazy amount of traction in the last like 6 months. It's been awesome. But yeah, I've started to get my own platform and do all my kind of stuff over there. And I've gotten to the point where I was considering starting my own podcast. Like independently, I was like hitting some people up, like asking if they'd be interested to do a show. And my first people I reached out to were Angel and Alex, because I was like, all right, guys, if we make a podcast with the three of us, we'd be 3 co-hosts, and it's 3CoSports. So like it's a bit of a play on words in itself anyway. And they're like, yeah, we were actually thinking about making one anyway. So it worked out perfectly. And I didn't really know at first if they were going to be like the host and I was going to kind of just like, be on it with them or whatever. But yeah, like we've put a lot of time and energy into it, and we're going to be 3 co-hosts, and we're just going to have a good time with it. And it's going to be really fun. Our first episode should be releasing next Tuesday as our target. So it should be awesome.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It's going to be fun.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
So Billy, this also allows us to give an opportunity to talk about some reflective points over the past year.
Go for it.
For the pod. Since we started in July, like late July, I think.
Yeah,
was when we started the podcast, and we've used a few different programs. So StreamYard is not the first one that we used.
Yeah, we started off, Buzzsprout with RSS feeding, and we used. I'm blanking on the name here. I deleted the tab. What was the other platform we were using? I'm blanking right now. I've had some wine.
My brain is it's 10:17 right now. Squadcast, that's right.
We use Squadcast because Bradley's East Coast and I'm West Coast, and we want to be able to record remotely. And Squadcast was pretty neat because it actually has some features above StreamYard that I really like, because it allows you to record the audio separately. So you can actually record all 3. So if you guys were doing, 3CoSports, when you guys recorded, it would take all 3 mic recordings in individual audio files, which is great for editing, because as the editor, I'm the editor, publisher, did all the back side of our podcasting, and editing is very time consuming. Very time consuming, and editing out breaths, or if you have
editing out Bradley.
Not just Bradley, myself, or whatever it may be, and adding in music or sounds or whatever it may be, having separate audio files is key, because you can insert cuts and slide audio files left and right or whatever it may be, and really be able to fine tune the audio for the podcast before publishing it. Where like StreamYard, I really like the live factor, but when it records and you download and you go, it's one file, right? So you manually have to kind of separate things. Pops, cracks, clicks, and background noises are a little bit harder to edit out. So there's pros and cons to everything, is what I'm trying to say.
For sure. I think that I'm not too familiar with the situation, because Alex and Angel live together, and I obviously am not living with them. So because they're up in Boston, I'm in Oxford, Ohio currently at Miami University. So
congratulations.
Yeah, it's so great. Anyway, no, it's a great campus, but it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Anyway. I know Miami of Ohio. I grew up in Cleveland, and a lot of
people from Cleveland.
A lot of Cleveland people go to Miami because it's like bougie.
You know what though?
It's not bougie.
You have Pikachu to keep you company.
I do. You're right. But anyway, so what I'm getting at is they live with another guy named John, who I'm not too familiar with, but John's like a good friend of theirs apparently, and he is like signed up to be the producer for the podcast. So I won't have to worry about editing anything. So happy about that.
Billy put in a lot of work for that.
So in the beginning, I'm really anal, right? And I'm I'm kind of a perfectionist. So it's just the business owner in me. And
of course.
And in the beginning, teaching myself, like an hour of audio would take me like 3 hours plus to edit, and going through and edit, because I didn't know how to do a lot of the features on Adobe. So I was manually doing everything.
You see, for me personally, like my major in school, I work a lot in Adobe. So like I'm pretty decent with like most of those programs, just because I have like the general like common sense of like what this button does and stuff.
And so there's a lot. Adobe's fantastic.
It's hard.
I love Adobe. And like I remember I was watching this like how-to video, and I texted Bradley and I was like, F me. Like, I just watched the video because what it takes me an hour to hour and 20 minutes to do, you can do in 2 clicks of a button, and it takes like 2 minutes for it to finish. The guy's literally like, oh, you do this and this and that. He's like the little English fellow, and with his little English accent, it's pissing me off because I spent an hour and 20 minutes doing all this crap. And he's like, you can do all this, and this, or you can just click this button and go get a cup of tea. And I'm like, no way.
So you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it doesn't work 100%, right? It's you still get things in there that you have to go through and edit out and clean up. But like, holy crap, did it cut that whole process down, right? And there's so many tools like that inside of Adobe that you can really learn, and tips and tricks and things that you can do to enhance sound and really do all that. But now with StreamYard, realistically, we just download, paste it into Adobe, add the intro, add the outro, and post it. I don't even care because people are listening live now, and there's not nearly as much editing as we do before.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do live just because I feel like it'd be easier for us to like record and stuff at first. If we try out a live and stuff, I'm sure we'll like it. I think we're gonna save lives for like special events. Like I think one thing we're planning is to eventually all of us like really grind out like rookie notes and like do like a live during the NFL draft and like do like reactions on picks and stuff, which I feel like it would be really fun. I'm excited about that, but yeah, I think I don't really know what program we're gonna use yet. I think we're gonna do like a test recording at some time this weekend. But yeah, it should be really fun. Our goal is to launch it next week. I think it's gonna happen. We got like a voice actor for the intro and stuff. It should be fun. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. That's great news. We're really excited for you guys. Just continue to see you grow, us grow. Like it's been great working with all of you and supporting each other.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So much more room for activities, right, Billy?
So much more room.
Oh, and I think Bradley has on the notes here. I think it's really worth mentioning here is like, just be open with each other. Talk about your time. Talk about the availability that you have, because you're going to find out like recording takes time, editing takes time, and getting all these things together and getting it, from recording to live and published and all the magic in between, just being honest with each other and saying, you know what, that time doesn't work for me. Right. Or, hey, I got a lot of commitments next week. I can only make one day a week. And all that has really helped us. And Bradley and I think, our friendship has grown and
of course,
and our podcast has grown and covering for each other. Right. Like I can't make all the Tuesdays that he does, and he goes solo and vice versa. Like we do, recordings together or whatever it may be. But I think
that Billy's grinding on the website too. So
yeah, dude, that's one thing we are doing for 3Co. I think we've talked about behind closed doors a little bit, is like they don't know if they're going to really renew the website for now and just focus on the podcast and just put all of our resources and energy into that, because it costs money to own the domain and do all that and like write all these articles to like make sure it's like up to date and all that. And if we can just put all the energy into the podcast and like let everything just come later,
it's a lot of work. Like we just started the website on a whim because I'm, impulsive like that. And
yeah, Billy was like, how are we going to share all of this? And I was like, we started with, let's do it with a podcast. And then a couple months later, Billy was like, we need to share it on a website and a live stream. I'm like, okay.
Dude, I think websites in the day and age of like sports media are overrated. I do. Like, because like websites are awesome, but unless you're like your brand has like finally gotten off the grounds, no one's gonna be looking at it. Like you guys have been doing this for a little while now, so people are gonna start looking at your stuff. But like, for example, 3Co. I mean, like we
3Co's been around longer than we have.
Yeah, 3Co's been around longer than us.
I know, but we don't have a podcast, is what I mean. Like I don't think anyone who listens to the podcast is gonna be like, oh, let's go see what articles they have published. Like like I feel like just tweeting your stuff out is just as good as anything right now. Honestly.
The tweeting works, but I think it's nice to have a platform that you can recommend people to, right?
Oh, definitely. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying like when you first launch, it's a little hard.
It's very hard, and there's a lot of quiet days, right? Like I'm looking at you're going to have a lot of down days, a lot of up days, whatever. It's all over the place. But I think that building a brand too. So
season two,
as a business owner, I own a business. I own my own grocery store, and as a business owner, I know it takes time to build a brand. And you're going to have times where you start at the bottom, right? And everyone knows Stong, you started from the bottom, now you're here, right? And it's true, because just like fantasy football, just like a business, you got to grow your brand, and people have to trust you. They have to want to come to you. They have to like you, or whatever it may be. There's a wide array of reasons that people do business with you, whether it's fantasy football or groceries, right? People come to you for a certain reason. And if you are able to, create a platform from that, if you build it, they will come, right? And eventually it's going to happen.
Exactly. That's why I'm really excited about the pod, because we're all really excited about it. And I have as a college student, it feels weird. Like I have so much free time because I'm a full-time student. Like I should have homework out the years and final exams and papers and whatnot. But dude, I'm chilling, man. I have so much free time. This is why I wanted to get into fantasy stuff so much. Is last fall, I got hired by Dynasty Nerds as an intern in August, and then I moved in a month later, and I started taking on these other projects in November because I have so much free time. My schedule this semester with COVID, it's weird. I only have classes this semester on Monday and Wednesday. So Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, minus homework, I am open. So I have all the time in the world to watch film, tweet, schedule content, write articles. I have so much time to do stuff. It's great.
Eat Captain Crunch.
Yeah,
seriously,
Captain Crunch.
It's crazy.
All right, well, I think that's a wrap, guys.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So seriously, thanks for having me on. If you ever need another guest, just I'm always doing.
This has been a lot of fun, Luke. We're really happy that you were able to join us and just said yes right away and sent out the invite, and we were able to get you on.
I love coming on shows. It's always awesome. I actually don't think I've come back to a show yet. Maybe I'm stuck. I don't know.
Well, everybody, make sure to follow Luke at Luke Sawhook. That's Luke with a saw and a hook. And he writes here for 3CoSports, so make sure to follow their Twitter at 3CoSports. Make sure to follow us at Twitter at FF Fanalysts, at FF Museo, at FS Stalder, or on our Facebook page at Fantasy Football Fanalysts. You can also subscribe to our Twitch and our YouTube channels at FF Fanalysts, or just simply go to our website where every social button I just mentioned is there for your viewing pleasure and a little bit more easier to read. And we have rankings, we have articles, we have DFS content.
Go check out those rankings. I looked at them tonight. They look pretty.
And more. So thank you, Luke. Luke adjusted on the fly because of
I did adjust on the fly. I don't take all the credit. I adjusted on the fly for several other things tonight, not just the Calvin Ridley poll.
So one last announcement before we let everybody go here. Tomorrow, Friday, February 12th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be interviewing Eric Bachman, a 21-time award-winning broadcaster, host and producer of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour podcast. He is the media coordinator for the FFPC and a contributor for RotoViz and FNTSY Network. This interview will be a strong introduction for our listeners to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Leagues and the FFPC and the High Stakes community. So make sure to tune in live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the FF Fanalyst live stream. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Sorry to take up an hour and a half of your night, but it was a fun time. I hope you come back. So for all of those brave souls that have been here with us the whole time, thank you, and good night, and we'll see you here tomorrow.